welcome back to another episode of our life seasons where we talk about the different seasons of life and how we grow through it. I'm your host Wen. You already know it, I always wrap up every episode with a bonus, so be sure to stick till the end. Before I jump straight into today's episode, I want to take some time to welcome more people into our life seasons inner circle over the week. A very warm welcome to all of you. I'm so excited for you because the last time I checked, we're now at 60 members and it's insane. Probably more as we are speaking. My goal for 2024 was actually to get us to 100 members in the circle. And we're well on our way. So thank you so much for joining us. And if this is your first time here and you're wondering like what am I talking about, what our Life Seasons Inner Circle is all about, is basically a free newsletter where I sent out 2 emails per week on exclusive journal prompt template, self-help, self-love related content. Basically, you have access to a whole stash of templates as soon as you sign up for the newsletter. And you also gain early access to the weekly's episode. So if this is what you love, if this is your vibe, please join us. It's the first link below. Okay, just saying, I don't spam. Like I said, it's only 2 emails per week. And I love to have great conversations with you guys. For those of you who have actually replied me. And yeah, we just have an amazing conversation. So lastly, I just want to say that if you've been loving the podcast episodes, which I know a lot of you guys are, please do leave a review of this podcast on whichever platform they're on, whether or not it's Spotify or Apple Podcasts or just YouTube. I would love for us to just leave a review so that we can actually have this podcast reach more people who need it. All right? Of course, let me know which are your favorite topics. Now, let's get into today's topic on settling for less and how the universe actually sends tests your way to see if you're ready and is able to hold space for your desires or manifestations to come into your reality. I want to talk about this because it is something that I have been facing in my life recently in the relationship sector, but it's not the first time that I'm going through this type of test. So I've experienced a lot of or multiple tests from the universe in terms of money mindset, friendships, career, and other parts of my life. So I figured, why not share it with you guys? Because it's a very, very helpful perspective to have, which will help shape the way you see life, especially when it comes to things that you want to manifest into your life, okay? Be it a soulmate, job, lifestyle, friendships, or financial abundance, whatever that is, this mindset that I'm about to share with you guys in this episode will help ease the process of calling your manifestations into your life. For those of you who are not into the woo-woo, who are not into manifestations, don't worry. It's not about to get woo-woo, okay? It's just a change in perspective. So don't give up on this episode yet. We're only just getting started. If you're not vibing with the word manifestations, then feel free to change it to desires, to goals, to dreams, whatever that floats your boat, okay? I will use them interchangeably. So yeah. I would also say that this episode is specifically for people who feel like they are not reaching the maximum potential of their life. I'm not talking about the toxic mindset of running on full speed and burning yourself out just by constantly not being satisfied with what you have, because those are 2 very different things, okay? You can be grateful while desiring for more because you know you are capable for more. And that comes from a place of, after being grateful for what you have, you know that, in this lifetime you can achieve so much more because you're able to actually use it for good, okay? Those are the people that I'm talking about. I'm not talking about this mindset or this toxic mindset of just pushing for more and just burning yourself out, okay? No, we're not about that life. Now, enough of me babbling. Let's first talk about the difference between settling and just being grateful and satisfied with what you have, right? What's the difference? How do you actually tell them apart? Because I know that it can be really, really tough at the start, especially for when I first started out embracing my desires and getting to know my standards, my needs, wants, and non-negotiables in life. I can say that all these are pretty high in the eyes of the public, even to my family, but I stand by them, okay? Because I have this theory that if I can give all that to myself, I expect nothing less from my partner or anyone I let into my life. Yes, because I know that they'll get the same treatment, and all this boils down to knowing your worth and the mindset of knowing you is a privilege, which I talked about in episode 32. So please check that out if you are literally cringing or your first reaction to me saying that I expect nothing less from the people that I let into my life. Then that episode would be a good starting point, okay? Because I talk about why you should always put yourself first, why you should always fill your cup up first, and to know that anyone who comes into your life, it's like they're interviewing to be part of your life, because you know that you have so much to offer, okay? And because I know my worth, that's why I can confidently say that the people that I let into my life, they have to be of a certain, I hold them to a certain standard because I hold myself to that same level of standards, okay? So I want you to know that yes, you can choose to hold your standards and not settle for less, all while being grateful with what you have. I know guilt has a very, very, very big part to play here. I'm sure most of us grew up hearing that we shouldn't be greedy, that we should be satisfied with what we already have. We often hear comparisons of our current situation to someone else who has it worse, right? So like, for example, let's just say, I would taste like a cheesecake and be like, oh, this is alright, but it's not the best that I had. And then immediately I will get hit with this subconscious mind telling me that, oh, but you should be grateful that you get to even taste a cheesecake. Like, not many has that privilege to get what they want to have. And I get that, right? It's the truth. I get that. Somewhere in this world, there are someone who is struggling with like hunger, or rather just not being able to have whatever that I have right now. And I understand that I am very, very privileged to be born in this society and to be in this country where I have a roof over my head, I have food that I can eat every single day, that I have a bed to sleep. I have everything that I want, but still want more. And I know that I just want you to know that it is okay, okay? It's a constant battle of expecting more and knowing that, you deserve more. But then this guilt that hits and tells us that this is the best that you can get. Don't expect too much. And it all boils down to what we hear growing up, right? We take on others' belief of be satisfied with what you have and don't you dare ask for more, because that is greed. But as I grew older, and as I head on to this journey of understanding how manifestation works and how the universe works for us, I realized that if you desire and manifest from a good place, you will never allow yourself to be placed in a situation where you lost yourself in greed. Okay? Never. Because before you even get there, you do a self-check. It's just not in you, and it's just not in me, at least for me. I know that if I were to manifest whatever that I want to have, or if I were to desire for more, I will use it for a good purpose. Okay, that is just me, and this is just you knowing your self-worth, you knowing what you bring to the table as well. Okay, and if you're listening to this, I'm very certain that you are nowhere near greedy, because it won't be you if you're listening to the self-help podcast. Okay, greed is not something that is in your mind if you're listening to self-help podcast. But here's the thing, because of this guilt and fear of being too much or wanting for too much and being ungrateful for what you already have, it often results into us settling for less and in hopes to tame this open inverted greedy side of us, right? First, let's talk about the word greed. I want to reframe the way we think of this word, because like I said a lot of times, words are just words until we give a meaning to it, okay? So forget about everything you know or heard of the word greed, which is the very negative side. I want you to think of greed as a neutral word. So associate greed with knowing what you want and not settling for less. Everyone is greedy one way or another, like it or not. Why? Because we are always in a pursuit of something more freedom, more money, more love, more kindness, more conscious living. More. That's greed, right? Wanting more of something when you already have some or little of it in your life. And yes, greed simply means to want more of what you already have, or little, or if you already have little things in your life, and that is okay. It's not a bad thing. Think about it. If one desires to seek inner peace, it just means that one is greedy for more peace and alone time. That's all. I don't want to place greed, or rather greedy, as this thing that stops me from achieving what I can achieve in this lifetime, just because I don't want to be greedy. And all it takes is for you to shift that mindset, for you to change how you associate or whatever stories that you associate with this word greed. Okay, so it starts today. It does not mean that, people who seek for inner peace shouldn't even do that, because somewhere on the other side of the world where peace is not even an option, that's why you can't seek for peace. No, to me that is just extreme. That is just ridiculous. Regardless of how bad or worse someone else has it, we are still able to expect for more and to seek for more. We should not be guilting ourselves into thinking that we should settle for whatever that we have, even though we know that we are capable for more, just because we think that someone else has it worse than us. We are comparing ourselves to other people. Because like I said, comparison is not a thing, okay? I have a whole entire podcast on comparison, so watch that. I always believe that if we want more of something, it is just the universe way of saying that we can give you more. This is made possible for you and for us to bring that into your life. You gotta first desire it and want it enough to hold space for it. So are you ready for it? We are ready to give it to you. This is just what the universe is telling you when we want more or when we desire for more. But if you're constantly thinking about how expecting more is greedy, you close yourself up to receiving, and your energy will then pull you away from your desires. And then what? You will start getting so frustrated as to why your manifestations are not coming into your life, why you're not reaching your goal. And it's because of all this hidden guilt and subconscious blocks that is stopping you from fully embracing your desires and wanting more. That's why you don't see your manifestations coming in, because subconsciously you're just blocking yourself from receiving. Okay, so let go of the fact that greed is bad. Asking for more, expecting for more is bad. It is not, because the differentiating factor of whether these greeds turn into something extreme is the question of to what extent are you willing to go to bring that into your life. And yes, I agree, there are people who go to the extreme extent to get what they want, and those people who we are familiar with and we associate greed with is not you. Okay, but you're not like that. I believe that you're not like that. I know you're not. So stop allowing the fear of looking or being greedy stop you from reaching your full potential. Okay, it's okay to want more of something even if you have the minimal of it already. If that is what's going to bring you happiness or joy, which in return will allow you to give back to the society, then I don't see why not. I don't see a wrong in chasing for more, in knowing that you can have more just by, like wanting for more, because you are gonna give that back into society. And I know that deep down within you, you are pure. You have this heart of gold. Okay, and I love to say this: if your heart is pure at its core, no matter what you do, you'll always come from a place of love, and you'll never do the world wrong. So you got to start being self-aware and confident in yourself to know that it's okay to ask for more, to expect for more, because you will then give back the same energy and value back into the world. Okay, it's not selfish. All right. Now, let's talk about signs that you're settling and in which areas of your life you're settling for the bare minimum and less, okay? Let's split this into 3 different areas of your life: relationships and friendships, finances and career, and just life in general. Okay, first, I want to talk about relationships, since I think it's a topic that we love here in our life seasons, okay? I want you to let this be a checklist to check in with yourself and ask yourself if you're settling for less. All right, you ready? Number 1. You ignore red flags, and I talked about this a lot of times, okay? You downplay or make excuses for behaviors that you know don't align with you as a person, whether or not it's your values, your standards, and we spoke about this in episode 38, okay? I want you to ask yourself, are you overlooking things that would normally bother you? Because if the answer is yes, you're settling for less. Number 2, you feel a need to start compromising to appease them, whether or not it's your friends or your partner, okay? You find yourself sacrificing things that are truly important to you in order to maintain the relationship. Maybe it's your core values, your standards, even the smallest things like wanting someone who is grounded and respectful, but you're accepting name callings and those open inverted one-off outbursts and gaslighting yourself into thinking that, oh, it's okay because you could have played a part in it. No, okay? Ask yourself, are you giving up on things that are truly important to you just so you don't have to get into this fight, just so that you can keep yourself in this false sense of peace while resentment is actually brewing deep within you? Because if the answer is yes, you're settling for less. Alright, number 3, you start to pull away and disconnect emotionally. You don't feel like a deep sense of intimacy or vulnerability with your partner. You bottle your emotions up because you don't feel like you have a safe space to open it up for discussion. So I want you to ask yourself, do you feel emotionally empty or unsatisfied in the relationship? Because if it's yes, you're settling for less. Number 4, you feel a need to constantly justify their actions to yourself, and this is a huge one, okay? You spend a lot of time explaining or defending your partner's behavior to yourself or to others, especially when it comes to arguments. So my question to you is, are you constantly making excuses for your partner's actions? Because if yes, I'm sorry to say, you're settling for less. Number 5, you put your needs aside just so that you can put them first. And I talked about this a lot of times as well. You chronically prioritize your partner's needs over your own. It should be a 50-50 dance. Like I mentioned a lot of times, the effort has to be there at the start. Yes, on days where your partner is not at their 100%, you can make it up, but it has to be both ways and not just you constantly giving and giving and giving and compromising and then them not giving a damn about you. Okay, so my question to you is, are you constantly putting more effort into the relationship than your partner? If the answer is yes, you're settling for less. Number 6, you're staying for the wrong reasons. And I talked about this in episode 31, where I asked you the question of what exactly is it that you're afraid of if you let go of this relationship or this person. So I want you to think about it. Is it the fear of being alone or codependency or staying for the sake of the children? Because these are not healthy reasons to stay in a relationship. Okay, so if you're staying for the wrong reason, or if you're not sure as to why you're staying in that relationship, or you just want to seek peace and comfort from just staying so that you don't have to shake things up, then you're settling for less. Okay? Number 7, there is a lack of enthusiasm or even peace from both parties. So maybe you just feel like blah in this relationship. You feel like this relationship is just meh, and even if there is no major problems or major arguments, you just feel like you're staying in it for routine and comfort, then you're settling for less. Okay, now on to the next part, which is finance and career. I want you to think about whether or not you are living paycheck to paycheck. So this can be signs that you're not managing your money well, or your income just isn't enough to cover your expenses. So even if you can afford your bills, do you have little to no financial buffer? If your answer is yes, which actually leads me to the next part of you are actually afraid to pursue your dream career. Be it being an entrepreneur or climbing the corporate ladder, you're actually afraid to go after it, to go after your desires, to go after your dreams. You sit and romanticize about how amazing life would be, but you never actually really take actions because of a 1001 reasons. So I want you to ask yourself, are you stuck in a job you hate because you're afraid of the financial instability of pursuing your true passion? If the answer is yes, then you're settling for less. Okay? Lastly, I want to talk about this in life in general, okay? Number 1, you feel like you're constantly living life like just on a day-to-day basis. There's nothing that actually gets you excited. You feel like everything's on autopilot. So if you might feel like a sense of emptiness, or that something is just missing in life and you don't really know what that is, I want you to ask yourself, are you going through the motions in your life without any real excitement? Because if you are, you already know it. You're settling for less. Now, the second part ties in as well. You feel stagnant. Like I said, you operate on autopilot. So I want you to ask yourself if you feel like do you feel like you're not growing or learning anything new on a day-to-day basis or week-to-week, whatever that is? Like, are you learning something new? Are you feeling excited about something? Because if you're not, then again, yes, you're settling for less. You already know it by now. Number 3, you don't do well with changes. Okay, you start panicking whenever something changes in your life, be it a day-to-day shake-up or a plan not going your way. You spend more time complaining about your situation than actively trying to improve it. I want you to ask yourself, are you afraid to make changes in your life even if you know that they might be for the better? Okay, if you are, then this is for you. Last week's episode is for you, episode 40. Please go and listen to it. Okay, like being comfortable in an uncomfortable situation. I talk about it in last week's episode, so go and listen to it. Because if you are, chances are you're actually settling for less. Okay? Now, next one. Oh, this is huge. You are filled with resentment. You hate everything in life. You complain about your job, your family, your friends, your finances, whatever that is. You struggle to find like the silver lining, and you refuse to accept another perspective. So I want you to ask yourself, do you feel resentful towards yourself or others for your current situation? Because if you are, chances are you're actually settling for less, because while you settle for less, you build up this resentment, right? Like I mentioned just now. Now, last one, you are happy with good enough, just good enough. Okay, you convince yourself that what you have is okay, even if it doesn't truly excite or inspire you, because you are afraid to go for what you truly desire. So I want you to ask yourself, are you constantly telling yourself that things are just good enough, even though you know that you can have more, even though you know that you deserve more? Okay, if you are, then you're settling for less. Now, how many of them are you actually saying, oh my god, this is so me, I feel this too? Take note of those things and write it down, okay? This is your start to stop settling and ask yourself, what is it that you actually want to achieve in this lifetime? Forgetting all about like the fear, the guilt, whatever that is. What is it that makes you feel alive and not just go through the motion of life? Have a think about it. Honestly, sit down and think about it. Write out everything that you feel like, oh my god, this is me, like you're speaking to my soul. Because all of this needs to go. All of these little hints are actually showing you the parts of your life that you're settling for less. And if you switch a little bit of it, life is gonna start changing for you, okay? Believe it or not. Now, once you're done figuring out, what you want in life and you're ready to call in your manifestations and it's feeling super pumped up, let's talk about the tests that will be coming your way. And I want to preface by saying that these tests are not the same as the ones that you take in school, okay? It's not like an exam. Don't dread them because that's the last thing that you want to do. What are these tests then? You may ask. One thing you need to know is that the closer you are to your manifestations coming into your reality, the more frustrating it may feel because there will be times where you feel like, oh my god, this is so close. Like I'm so close to what I want, but it's just not it. There will always be this but it's not 100% there yet, but it's not quite. And that is the ultimate test to see how ready you are to receiving it in your life, okay? It's the question of, will you settle? This is a question where the universe is asking you, will you settle for less? It's like the universe is saying, okay, whatever do you want, I have it ready for you. It's coming your way, but I want to make sure that you're ready to receive it. And of course, I know your first reaction is going to be like, what type of question is that? Of course I'm ready. I'm born ready. But saying that is not enough, okay? You got to show it. So the universe will send people or put you in situations that puts you to the test and see how you react. So of course, I have a story to tell. My journey of manifesting a soulmate. Okay, this is a little bit, I would say, personal and private, so I won't dive deeper into the details. But I would say since my last relationship, I have spent the whole of 2023 trying to get better sensing of, trying to get a better sensing of what my expectations and wants from my future partner is. I got clear on the things that I won't stand for, the values that I expect of him, and how I want to be treated. It is a very detailed list. I know some of you are probably, frowning so hard at this right now, but guess what? I've gone through that stage of discomfort and feel like, oh my god, that's too much to ask for. What if no one actually meets these standards? I know how that feels like, and it's scary. I went from being afraid to hold my standards to someone who is very, very, very proud of who I am today, okay? So I went from oh my god, what if someone cannot meet my standards, to who you see right now, who's someone that holds so tightly to my standards and be like, if you can't meet them, bye, I don't have time for you. Don't waste each other's time, okay? That's just me right now. Why? Because I know the pain that I have to go through if I were to settle for bare minimum and not hold to my non-negotiables. The resentment and frustrations that I will feel if I were to not have an idea of what my standards will look like and just allow anyone or someone to treat me however that they want, okay? No, I'm so over that, and you should be over that too. Trust me, I know it feels icky at the start to just be sitting yourself down and be listing out all these non-negotiables or your standards or your expectations, but it will do you justice, okay? And if you're still unclear on your expectations and standards, do not jump into a relationship. I know this is a strong alpha energy, but you need it to protect yourself. And like I said in episode 31, when you treat yourself the way you want to be treated, others will respect that and they will want to treat you the same as well. So do not lower your standards, or rather do not jump into another relationship trying to get a better understanding of what your expectations are, because the only thing that you need is to sit down with yourself and ask yourself, regardless of whatever that happened, take reference from your past relationship and ask yourself, what is it that you actually want? What is the standards that you actually expect? Because you can give that to yourself, okay? Anyways, back to the story. As soon as I was clear on who I want my partner to be, how I expect him to show up, and detailed descriptions of his personality and how he carry himself, I started seeing more and more male friends or friends around me that embody these characteristics, okay? I met people who were in the type of relationships that I want to be. So the real test was then when I had someone whom I know checked off 80% or maybe even more than that of what I was looking for in a partner. But there were still some parts, which is very normal, right? There were still some parts that I would not settle less for. I would not settle for the traits that I know would not complement me. It's just my personal preference. And in the past, if I were to face this situation, I would come up with all sorts of excuses to justify why it was okay to settle and why it would work out. But not anymore, okay? That was the real test for me. It's very, very, very uncomfortable, and it's very frustrating to sit there and look at someone and be like, oh my god, it's literally 80% of what I want, but there's still that 20% and I'm not willing to settle for that 20% because that 20% is something that is stated in my non-negotiables that I'm not going to settle for. Okay? And it's very, very, very hard to do. I'm not saying that it's easy. It may sound easy, but it's not. Okay? It took me very, very, very long for me to be able to tell myself that, nope, I'm not going to settle for less. It's okay. Alright? So I know that it's very hard, especially for me to tell myself that I know someone better will come along. I trust that the universe knows that, this is something that I want. The universe knows my standards, my non-negotiables, and it's what is given to me. And this is a test to see whether I'm ready for the real deal, okay? I'm not quite there, but I'm close. So this is that test. As much as it's frustrating, like I said, it can get really upsetting to see something that is so close to what you desire, but not quite. It takes a lot in you to be able to stand your ground and say, nope, I'll pass on this and have full faith that the right one will come. Okay, this is when you know you have passed the test. I know it sounds easy, like I said, but it is not. I have times where I have settled and have gone through situations where eventually it shows that is not it. And if you're listening to this now and you feel like you have actually failed the test because you caved in and settled for something lesser than what you expected or what you imagined it to be, don't beat yourself up, okay? I want you to use this as a checkpoint and to realign your desires and revisit your standards, your desires and your expectations and make it a non-negotiable, like I mentioned in episode 33, okay? Now, I want you to treat this test as a journey, like a game, okay? It gets to be fun, alright? Just like in a game, each level comes with its own difficulty, and as you proceed closer to the goal, it gets tougher, but you get stronger as well. So same with your manifestations and your desires. As you get closer to bringing them into your reality, the test gets tougher. The situations that you are placed in will be very, 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 very similar to what you want, even as close as 90%, but you realize that there will be 1 or 2 parts where you're like, not quite. And that is when you're able to do a self-check to see if you're energetically ready for your desires to come into your life. And if you're not, it's okay. Like in a game, when you fail to go through that level, you don't start from level 0 again, right? You simply pick up from the level that you left off. No biggie. So keep going and trust that it will all come to you in divine timing. When you're ready and you do not have to worry about the when and the how, but just focus on what and the why you desire or you want that desire, and leave everything up to the universe, okay? Now, before I leave, I want to leave you with this question. What areas of your life are you settling less for? I want you to be candid and open with yourself. An easy way to identify is to check areas of your life that you feel like you could have more, but is either afraid to go for it or feel like you're not good enough to have it, okay? Like this discomfort or this icky feeling. I want you to follow that discomfort and let it guide you to cut off these strings that are stopping you from blossoming into the best parts of you and have everything that you ever desire. Okay? Always remember, you are worthy of your desires and your desires come to you for a reason. They chose you to bring them to life because you are equipped with everything that it needs to be birthed into this reality. So be it that business idea or that lifestyle that you know you're capable of living, or that partner that you know can give you the love that you deserve, it is all made possible for you because you desire that. Simply because you desire it, you're able to have it, okay? Never ever doubt that you're ever too greedy for wanting more and expecting more. Stop settling and start embracing who you truly are at your core, okay? Connect with that self and watch your desires flow into your reality effortlessly, alright? So that's all for today's episode. I hope this episode actually awakens something within you, something amazing within you. And if you have any burning questions or topics you want me to cover, you already know it. Please drop me a DM on Instagram and our live seasons, or comment on whichever platform that you're on so I can get back to you. Alright, I'll see you in the next one. Bye!